After our last look into gameplay history, we received a huge response on Twitter with people trying to guess which 5 mechanics we picked. Nobody even got close, which just told us that we had to make another list. I'm your host Mike, and here's 5 more antiquated MTG mechanics you didn't know or forgot about. Rampage. Rampage is a special pick per the request of one of our biggest supporters, so thanks for the suggestion, Eric. The keyword ability was seen as early as Legends in cards such as Craw Giant and John Travolta. It was last seen in 2 5th edition reprints which included Craw Giant, as well as its final appearance as a time-shifted card. To explain it more fully, a creature would have the ability Rampage N. Then it would receive +N+N power and toughness until end of turn for each creature blocking it past the first. If a creature like Craw Giant was blocked by 2 Crimson Kobolds, it would get +2/+2 until end of turn, kill both kobolds, and deal 6 trample damage. Rampage was abandoned due to being a relatively useless part of the game design. The Craw Giant example is probably the best case to support Rampage because it has trample and incentivizes defending players to use multiple creatures to block. Without trample, there is rarely a reason to block with multiple creatures, only really saving a creature from being traded for multiple creatures in some cases. Fading and Vanishing. Fading was introduced as a thematic ability in the Nemesis expansion and has not seen print since. Popular cards which feature it include Tangle Wire and Parallax Wave. Fading was a simple ability to use. A card with Fading N enters the battlefield with N number of Fade counters. Then, at the beginning of each of their upkeeps, the player removes a Fade counter. If they are not able, they must sacrifice it. In a way, this kept huge threats in check. At the same time, the only real way to exploit a permanent with Fading was by keeping the clock from reaching 0 with the artifact Parallax Inhibitor. Vanishing did not replace Fading per se, but was introduced as a newer version of it. Vanishing was featured on a few creature cards in Planar Chaos and Future Sight. A couple of the more known creatures are Keldon Marauders and Chronozoa. It was essentially operated the same, but with the wording that the permanent was sacrificed when the last time counter was removed. Creatures with Vanishing also had enter and leave the battlefield effects to add a provided benefit. These mechanics have not been seen for a while, and it is not super likely to come back. I personally think Vanishing would be a fun ability to explore again. Flanking. Flanking was one of those abilities that was designed around real combat, such as with banding. With only one exception, creatures with flanking are either horseback soldiers or centaur type creatures that have a significant reach advantage over other warriors. Flanking saw most of its printing in the Mirage block with creatures such as Sidar Jabari and Teferi's Honor Guard. It also had another pack of cards in the Time Spiral block. Aside from that, there have only been a couple of printings, including Sidar Kondo of Jamura, which was printed relatively recently in Commander 2016, but as an obvious nod to the original Sidar. So how did flanking work? If a creature was blocked by a creature without flanking, the blocking creature would get -1/-1 until end of turn. Creatures with flanking negated each other's ability, and damage was dealt normally. Flanking has been basically abandoned because it was deemed that the overall player base did not fully understand the point of the mechanic. Magic R&D claims that it was so frequently played incorrectly that it was better to leave in the past. Haunt. Haunt is an interesting game mechanic that was featured only in the Guild Pact set, with cards like Orzhov Pontiff and Seize the Soul. Being an Orzhov themed ability, it was only featured on black and white cards. Haunt basically allowed a card's ability to happen twice. The first would happen when you play the spell or when the creature enters the battlefield. Then, when the spell was done resolving or when the creature died, the card would be exiled from the graveyard and would haunt another target creature. When the haunted creature died, the original effect was triggered again. Lead game designer Mark Rosewater considers Haunt to be a mistake and does not plan on it coming back. This probably has to do with the complexity of tracking multiple haunted creatures and their different effects upon dying. Epic. Epic is a special ability that was created for a horizontal cycle of sorceries in the Saviors of Kamigawa set. The ability was made to fit the set's legendary theme in an attempt to show what would make a sorcery legendary in the same way that permanents can be legendary. With Epic, the player could not cast any spells for the rest of the game. While being a major drawback, it also copied the spell's main effect at each of the controller's upkeeps. In a constructed deck, this could be synergized very well. Epic was a specific themed ability and likely won't be seeing reuse anytime soon. So those were 5 more weird and sometimes unknown mechanics from Magic's past. Do you remember being dissatisfied or confused by any of these abilities? Make sure you let us know in the comments. If you liked this video, please leave us a like down below, we'd really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, you're missing out, so hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn notifications on so you know when our new videos come out. Until next time, thanks for watching.